Okay, so in today's lesson, we're going to be going over how we can find unknown sides using trigonometry. So for this first example, we're just going to practice rearranging an equation so that we can put it into our calculator and find an answer for our unknown side, which we've called x. So this question is asking us to find the value of x correct to 2 decimal places, and we're going to use a calculator and a bit of algebra to do that. So you may have noticed that we've been given cos of 30 degrees is equal to x over 12. So the first thing we're going to do is rearrange this equation so that x is the subject of our formula. And to do that, we're basically just going to rewrite the equation out now and then times both sides by 12 to get rid of the fraction. Once we've done that, we can just write out 12 times cos of 30 is equal to x. And because both sides are equivalent, we can rewrite it as x is equal to 12 times cos 30. Next thing we're going to do is chuck that into a calculator. So we're just going to type in 12 times by cos 30, close the bracket, and press equals to get our answer is 10.3923 blah, blah, blah. The question asks us to solve it to 2 decimal places. So we're going to go up to the 9 and round it down to 10.39. Okay, so now that we're familiar with using a calculator, what we're going to do is go from a trig problem that is just giving you a picture now to the right trigonometric ratio to solve that problem, and then we're going to figure it out, put it in a calculator and get our answer. So first up, the first step you always want to do with a trig problem is label your sides of your triangle. So on this one, we're going to put in our opposite side, our hypotenuse, and our adjacent sides. So what we can see now is that our opposite and our hypotenuse sides are the ones that have information on them. So that means we're going to be using SOH out of our SOHCAHTOA. So we're using the sine ratio. So that means we write out sine theta equals O over H. And then we're going to replace that with the info from our triangle. So our triangle has sine of 30 degrees is equal to x divided by 2 in this case. So now we've got our formula for our triangle, and we're going to manipulate it to find out what our unknown value is. So first up, we want to get x by itself. So we're going to times both sides by 2 to get rid of that fraction. And we'll have 2 times sine 30 is equal to x. Now, because both sides are equivalent, we can just as easily write that as x is equal to 2 times sine 30. And then we can put that in our calculator and figure out what the answer is. So when we put that in our calculator, it comes out with the answer is 1. So that means our unknown side is 1 unit long. Okay, so we have another problem here. So we're going to follow the exact same process, and that is to start by labeling the sides of our triangle. So we want to find x. So let's label our triangle with the opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent sides. Now that we've got that, we can see that there is information on the adjacent and hypotenuse side. So that means we need the one that has adjacent and hypotenuse, which is CA. So that means we're using the cos ratio. So let's write it out. Cos theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Fill it in with the info from our triangle. So cos of 25 degrees is equal to x over 5. And now let's solve it like it was a regular algebra problem. So let's get x by itself by timesing both sides by 5 to get x is equal to 5 times cos 25. And now that we've got that, we simply type that into our calculator to get an answer for x. So we get an answer of x is equal to 4.531538, blah, blah, blah. And the question asks us to find it to 2 decimal places where necessary. So we're going to round our answer to x is equal to 4.53. Okay, so in this example, we're once again going to label our triangle with the opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent sides. We notice that the information is on our opposite and adjacent sides, so that means we've got O and A, or TOA is the one that we want to use. So we're using the tan ratio. So it's tan theta is equal to O over A, and then we're going to sub in our information. So we've got tan of 60 degrees is equal to x divided by A, which is 3. So we're going to times both sides by 3 to get rid of that fraction and make it so that we have x is equal to 3 times tan 60. So we're going to chuck that into a calculator now. So we've got 3 times tan 60, and then we're going to press equals to get that our x is equal to 5.196524223, blah, 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 blah. The question once again asks us to round it to 2 decimal places where necessary. So our answer rounds to 5.20 to 2 decimal places. Okay, so this final example is a little bit different to the others we've covered so far, but we basically start off the problem the same, and let's see where it goes. So start off by labeling your opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent sides. And for this triangle, we can see that the opposite and hypotenuse sides are the ones that have information on them. So that means we're using the SO out of our SOHCAHTOA or the sine ratio. So we're going to write it down, sine theta equals O over H, and then we're going to fill in our matching information. And this is where you might notice something a bit interesting about this problem that's different to what we've had before. So you put in sine 32 is equal to 18 over X. All right, so X is on the bottom now. So how do we deal with that? Well, there is some algebra that you can do to get it around and figure it out, but the quick shortcut way is to just straight up switch sine 32 with X, and then you'll get X is equal to 18 over sine 32. And this works perfectly algebraically. It's all good. It's just a quick little shortcut. You can figure out why this works by doing your timesing and dividing by certain things, but eventually it just becomes this shortcut is how you get to it, so you don't have to do all of that working, which is nice. So it's an easy problem once you know it. It's just knowing to use this little switcheroo. Okay, so now let's put that in our calculator to find the answer. So you do 18 divided by sine of 32, and you press equals, and you get that your answer is 33.967, blah, 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 blah. And to two decimal places, that means our answer is 33.97 meters.